All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. It's always nice to see new faces, and then of course our regulars. We always happy to have you guys here. So thank you, thank you. So this is our link tree where you can get every link you will ever need for 1 Million Cups Seattle. It also has the replays for previous presenters if you wanted to do some catch up. So 1 Million Cups, what are we about? We are about building community, supporting others, offering help, asking for help, and just sharing ideas. And we do this while drinking coffee. So what makes us different from other communities? We focus on presentations and not pitches. I love a good Shark Tank type of pitch, but here in this environment, we like to focus on presentations and make it a little more fun and less serious. Also, our focus is connections rather than solely networking. And we are for the community, by the community, and our biggest goal is to be radically and intentionally inclusive. So if there's any way that you guys see that we can do that last part better, please let us know. We are all ears. Okay, so within the 1MC Nation, there's about 130 different communities. This is our Seattle community, and we have another one in Washington State in Wenatchee. And we have over 3,500 attendees and over 700 volunteers that all come together to make these events happen. So to sum it up, 1 Million Cups is about education, presentations, and connections. So we have a kind of hybrid event on the second Wednesday of each month. We meet in person and virtually on the second Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time at the Pioneer Square expansive co-working space in Pioneer Square. And then you can always RSVP through our meetup link. And again, this one is hybrid. So you can join us on Zoom or in person on the second Wednesday. And then every other Wednesday, we remain online virtually. So a special thank you to our sponsors, Method Customization and the McLaughlin Method. Like I said, this is an event for the community, by the community. And so we really appreciate our sponsors in making this happen, as well as our volunteers. We've got Adele, Tessa, myself, Dan, and Matthew, and maybe yourself. We're always looking for new organizers, people that want to volunteer their time, whether it's on a continuum basis or just a one-off. We appreciate all of it. So just shoot us an email or connect with us here in Zoom. And so a couple ways to get involved. You can volunteer a specific task. So if you're maybe gifted with social media or design, any of that type of stuff, and you want to offer something specific, again, please feel free to reach out or just join as an organizer, and we can let you know where we need help with. So what to expect today? We will, after this short intro, we'll go through a 6-minute presentation with our entrepreneur today, that is Rod Blanchard. And he'll do his presentation for 6 minutes, and then we will get to dive into 20 minutes of Q&A. So this is my favorite part, where we'll get to ask Rod clarifying questions or give feedback from his presentation. And then after that, we will do more connecting kind of on a more intimate level in breakout rooms. So some tips on being a supportive listener. Limit distractions. If you're like me, that's very challenging with an ADD brain, but limit distractions, focus on our presenter so that we can give our energy towards them, and take note of, what stands out to you during the presentation. What do you want to learn more about? Where could you offer up some of your expertise and feedback? And rather than using shoulds, try to ask questions starting with what, so that the presenter, Rod, can get a little creative with the responses. So if you could, during the Q&A, use the raise hand feature. So if you go under, where is it now? I believe it's reactions, and then raise hand, and then that will put you in queue. Otherwise, if you're not able to come off of mute, feel free to post your questions in the chat. And again, just commentary on what stood out during the presentation, and any way that you can share your expertise and feedback. So Rod, if you're ready, I will stop sharing and give control all over to you.
Hey, let me see if I can get my sharing going here.
While Rod's doing that, I'm posting some information for him in the chat.
Okay, do you have my screen now?
Looks great.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with the question that 7X always, or hang on a sec, this isn't, there we go. With the question that 1 Million Cups always asks, how can we help you? Which I love that question, and it's just exactly what 1 Million Cup stands for. There's a very good vibe, and I appreciate you guys in Seattle allowing me to participate with you. And so that my ask is really to register on 7X USA. We want to help startups, and you can help us by allowing us to do that. We're also wanting to connect with entrepreneurship communities and potential sponsors. And we can kind of get into that a little bit later. When you participate in 7X as either a startup or a VVC, which stands for Virtual Venture Capitalist, with a big emphasis on the virtual. So let's, these are some companies that I started over the years. And it's not easy to start a company. This is how each of those companies did. Green, those companies did pretty good. Red means they tanked. You'll see AFSEF there that took off and then it tanked. But the reason I bring that up is it's really hard to be successful. Just to give you an idea, 4.35 million startups were launched in 2020, 3.9 million are destined to fail. There's a 90% morbidity rate, which is tough and prevents a lot of people from going down that path because it's so risky. These are kind of some of the tools that startups have to launch their business. And they're tools that we looked at when we created 7X. But those, using those tools, we still have this incredible number. In the US, VCs invest $600 million a day in startups that fail. In some ways, we're very fortunate to have that many people willing to invest in our ideas. But it seems like we can do better than that. We should make sure that the money that people are willing to invest goes into companies that are destined to succeed. This is another part of the problem. It's really hard to get that VC capital. On average, companies have to be in existence for 3.1 years before they get any VC funding. And at the end of the day, founders often end up with just a small fraction of what they've created. So the infrastructure that 7X is patterned after is one that is well established. It's really the best vetting system that we have on our planet, and it's not just in America. We have here, any guesses as to who this young athlete is?
Well,
Larry Bird. No, definitely not. But
well,
that's silly.
That's not a bad guess. It's actually Tom Brady. But if you followed his career at all, you recognize that he was drafted. I think. I mean, it was well in the. I think it was the 6th round. Wasn't really high on anybody's list, but he got a chance to play and made the most of it. And the thing about athletic competition is it exposes weaknesses, and athletes that are really going to have staying power address those weaknesses and become better. They also receive incredible coaching and mentoring along the way. And those that, that everyone doesn't make it as an athlete. I mean, they're weeded out early on in the little league process. But if they've got skills, they're coached up to reach their potential. So that's kind of the model that we're using for 7X. So like I mentioned before, we're kind of taking 4 businesses or enterprises that everybody's kind of familiar with and integrating them all together at 7X. So we replace Kickstarter with what we call our development league. The development league is for anybody with an idea. If you can explain your idea in a quick selfie video, you're welcome on our platform. So we hope everybody in this community, if you've got a startup, please go on and register on 7xusa.com and allow the platform to work for you. Right now, we are launching a beta season that includes 8 states. We don't, and Washington is probably the largest population-wise of the states that we're focusing on. And they've got obviously a great tech community and a great startup community and great universities that are contributing there. So we're excited to work with Washington in that regard. We replace venture capitalists with what we call virtual venture capitalists. We've created a game similar to fantasy sports, where you pick the startups that you like as a VVC, and if they do well in the competition that week, then you can get up to a 7X return on your entry fee. So whereas, regular VCs have to wait 5 to 10 years to get a return on their investment, as a virtual VC, you're not investing in anything, but you're playing a game that allows you to get a return every 7 days. No barriers to entry, everybody can play. We've kind of hit that. We're running out of time here. Shark Tank is, we televise our competition. We've created a game that startups play that are called up to compete in the big leagues. And each team consists of 7 startups that will be competing at a high level. And our broadcasts are, everybody that's competing plays one of these 7 positions. The creative concept, branding and marketing, network and channel development, sales and operations, team, impact, and leadership. And we think all 7 of these positions are really important to being a successful startup. I'm over time right now. I don't know if you want me to keep going or if you just want to go into the Q&A. What would you like me to do, Tiara?
Do you want to give it another minute and then wrap it up?
Yeah, okay. You can do that. Thanks. Anyway, we think our broadcast is going to be fun and engaging. We've been told by an ABC executive that we're graduate school for Shark Tank, so we're very excited to go down that path. So we've got these 4 quadrants that really create what we call our perpetual innovation engine. We've got the development league where people start. As they do well in the development league, they move on to the big leagues and they compete. We have what we call social capitalism, or the virtual VCs, and we want to really expand the community of people that are involved in the startup community. And then we televise everything, which gives everything great exposure, and the startups great exposure. And that gets more people launching their ideas in our development league. So that's how that works. These are the 7 things that we provide startups. What we're really trying to do is eliminate barriers to entry. Anybody with an idea can jump on our platform. We provide a complete pathway to succeed. You can, with Kickstarter, you can launch your product there, but as soon as your campaign's over, you're really starting from scratch. On our marketplace, where you launch a product or a service, it can remain there indefinitely. As long as you're doing business, you're welcome to stay on our platform. We try to minimize the pain or failure, so you don't have to put a lot at risk to test your ideas. We have cash rewards for the participating public as they play the virtual VC game. One of the very cool thing about our VVC game is it provides capital for the startups without any dilution of equity, which is a huge, huge piece of what we're trying to do, is help startups hang on to more of their company. We're a repository for startup resources. We have some great companies that are affiliated. There's over thousands of dollars worth of services that are available to the startups that use the 7X platform. They're just available there. Like we have legal services. There's a company called Savvy that's giving $1,200 worth of legal services to everybody that registers on 7X. And the final one, we want to protect investors from projects that are destined to fail. So that is, in a nutshell, what 7X is set out to do. And thanks again for your time, and bring on the questions.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I was looking forward to your presentation, Rod, when we first met a couple months ago. So that was amazing. If you want to stop share, we can open it up to Q&A.
Okay.
Again,
Perfect.
if you guys have a question, just use the raise hand feature, and we'll start up a queue that way. I can start with a question. I'm curious what your strategy is for if you have a strategy that pertains to partnerships. So do you partner with other organizations that serve the same audience that you're looking for?
Well, we're definitely interested in partnering with 1 million cups across the country. We would love to have kind of some high-level introductions to the Kauffman Foundation in Kansas City. I'm not sure if that's the direction that your question is,
yeah.
but we certainly want to partner with VC firms, with incubators, with accelerators, anybody that is touching the entrepreneurial startup community, we definitely want to engage with.
Smart. And then how do you envision that looking? Like, let's say they're
Kauffman. Yeah, I mean, the Kauffman Foundation, we would love them to come on board as a sponsor. When you go to the website, at the top of the screen, we kind of depending on what your search parameters are, there's sponsorships, and we think we actually have one of the questions in our startup profile is if you're affiliated with a 1 Million Cups chapter, and if so, what that chapter is. So we definitely want to support that community, just because we're so much in line with the 1 Million Cups charter and what they're wanting to do for the startup communities.
Love it. Thank you. Dan.
A couple of things. One is you mentioned sponsorship, but is that the entirety of your revenue model, or is there?
Well, you're bringing up a great question regarding our revenue model, and we have everything that we do at 7X. The answer is always 7. So we have 7 revenue streams of 7X.
Okay.
We have a marketplace, so we have a revenue model very similar to Kickstarter in that we take a percentage of the revenues that are generated in our marketplace. We want that to be a robust marketplace, very diverse. We don't just do products, we do services, we do subscriptions. We provide, really a place for someone to launch their business, and they don't have to invest in a web development. They can test the waters there. So there's the marketplace. We have our game, the virtual VC game, which is a revenue model very similar to fantasy sports like FanDuel's or DraftKings. Approximately 20% of the participants that play the game get a return on their entry fee every week, which is exactly the same numbers that fantasy sports has. They take about a 20% of the revenues that are generated through their gaming platform. They operate on about a 20% margin. We operate on about a 10% margin in that revenue stream, just because it's not our only revenue stream, but we can do very well at the 10% mark. We actually pay far less in merchant transaction fees than the fantasy sports people do, because when we got our merchant account set up, we had very long and detailed conversations with. What's that? Anyway, that since we were supporting the startup community, and we weren't just a gaming platform, they gave us a much better rate on our merchant transaction fees. So we're able to save a little bit of money there. Anyway, we also have our preferred partners. I talked about companies that we have a bunch of affiliates that provide great services to the startup community. So as a preferred partner, if you come on board, we have a little bit of a finder's fee for business that we direct to them. We do have our sponsorships that we have both online and on television. So there's a big advertising component to our revenue model. We also have a franchise model. We're going to be franchising it's actually a license similar to professional sports. We will be selling licenses to be a 7X licensee. So there's that revenue stream. Is that 7 yet? It seems like I'm boring you. But we do have a lot of revenue streams.
Yeah, no, I think that answered my question. It does sound very diverse. So that's great. I think Leanne also had a question.
Yeah, my question was similar to Dan's, and I was just wondering, like, if you maybe had because as you answered the revenue model, like you were even like, what I heard is like, oh, was that 7 yet? Do you have a slide that you could insert into your deck that
I do have a slide. It's in my presentation. I think I cut it out just for the sake of time, but I could show it to you if you want.
Yeah, I was just, I guess, because the reason I was asking, because the problem I think you stated at the beginning was you wanted to help connect. What was the problem that you stated at the beginning? That I've already.
Well, what I stated at the beginning is how the 1 Million Cups community can help 7X, and it's really by participating with, allowing us to help you by registering on 7X.
Okay, so that was your ask, but what was the problem 7X was solving?
The problem that we're solving is there's a 90% failure rate when it comes to launching a business. And there's also a lot of money that is being invested in startups that are destined to fail. So we want the startups to come on our platform, be vetted in our development league, get traction in our development league. And once they do that, they're called up to compete in the big leagues. So it's, our development league is kind of like Little League, where you test your ideas, and people and companies can operate very successfully in that space on our platform. We want them to, thrive there.
I guess that's where I need clarification. So my question is, So we go to the platform and sign up, but how do I get business from the platform? Like, that's where I'm confused. Do I get business from is it an advertising thing for me to market my business, or am I fundraising, or am I playing a game?
What it is, it's a marketplace. At that level, it's a marketplace similar to Kickstarter or Amazon. The difference, we do have a little different model than Kickstarter. So you go on the platform, and then what you're tasked with doing is the same thing that you do on Kickstarter. If you go on Kickstarter, if you're going to have a successful campaign, you need to prime the pump. You need to reach out to your community, your social networks, and make sure that when you launch your campaign, that they jump on board and make a pledge to your product. So you're going to do a similar thing on 7X. If
so
you're
it's
going to put
crowdfunding.
Well, it is crowdfunding. That's definitely what is going on in the market in the development league is crowdfunding. But it's not just crowdfunding. If you just have a service that you want, can I just share my screen and I'll show you the platform?
Sure. Sorry, I guess this was a deeper question than I realized. I was just curious, like if you were to sum up what your offer is in one sentence, what would it be?
Can't be done.
Okay. Okay, so then that's fine. You don't have to share your screen. It's okay. I know.
It's really. In one sentence, we help startups succeed.
Okay.
At all levels, from start to being usually successful.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Hey.
Looks like Matthew.
Yeah, I have a question. So, Rod, can you talk a little bit about, because I was checking out your website and I found it really interesting how you could, at least I was on my mobile device, of course, so I could kind of like scroll through all these different startups and then click on them and then read information about them. So I was curious if you could, and so my first question is like, I'm curious about your choices around your website design and like what that process has been like and what you're thinking in terms of the development of your website and the user experience that people are going to have as they interface with these startups. Go ahead.
Yeah, great questions. This is an MVP, of course. So we've developed this on a very tight budget. We haven't done any funding rounds. We're wanting to get through our beta season before we do a capitalization round, simply because that'll put us in a lot stronger position to negotiate with our investors. So budget has really been one of the limiting factors in the development. I think the user experience is a little bit better on a desktop, but you should be able to work in the mobile environment okay. If you look, there's a lot of levels to look at. If they have a product to sell, if they're in the marketplace, there'll be a shop icon on their profile when you drill into the company. And then you can kind of see if they're, what their products are, and if they're a pre-sale item. We don't, when we do our crowdfunding in quotes, we just call it a pre-sale item. And then once the product is ready to ship and fulfill, then it just becomes, it just becomes an inventory item, and you don't have to start from scratch. But that's, really the idea is here. You create your profile. You then go and you reach out to your community and you try to get them to be virtual venture capitalists. One of the ways that you kind of move up the rankings is by getting virtual VCs to vote for you. So you want to engage your community as much as possible and say, hey guys, I'm competing on this platform called 7X. Please sign up and, play the game and put me number one on your roster. So when you play the game, I don't know if you looked at that. If you click on the virtual VC game, there's a, you first of all, you have to to play the game, you have to sign up. So you have to be registered, and then you can create a watch list of companies that you think are cool. But right now, like I said, we've just barely launched our platform. We're just populating the site with startups. And when we get, we're hoping to have a couple hundred startups from each of the 8 states that we're targeting by the end of the summer. And at that point, we will start our first, we will start the preseason. We'll call, we'll find 7 startups from each team, call them up to compete. They will be assigned one of those 7 positions we talked about. And, the game is on.
Nice, thank you. And then my other question was, as an entrepreneur, you talk about, you're talking about the failures of many entrepreneurs and the challenges that your constituents face. So I'm curious, as an entrepreneur, what has been one of your biggest challenges personally as you're navigating the entrepreneurial journey of building this platform?
Well, well, we've had lots of different challenges. A lot, some of the challenges have been logistical, some of them have been legal, some of them have been financial. One of the companies that I started called All Sport TV had a huge potential, took off. We had more engagement than we anticipated. And we didn't have deep enough pockets to sustain it through the growth phase. And we ended up, expanding warehouse and not having adequate security. We had a bunch of theft. We had problems that we didn't foresee. The way that we hope that this community works is that, we're going to be in a competitive environment, but everybody that signs up is assigned a team. So when you sign up on the platform in Washington, you'll be assigned to Team X, and you've got a resource there that you can use for coaching, for questions, concerns. We also have on our platform Learn from the Pros, which we will be aggregating more and more content there, but there's some good content there right now. So you can get some good insider information, but as we televise our competitions, we'll always have guests on our TV show that will have been very successful, and we will take content. Some of the content will be on the broadcast, but a lot of the content will just reside on the platform. So we're just trying to really be a repository for great resources for the startup community. Hopefully that was kind of a long-winded question.
Yeah, no, the
other thing that we do, through our competition, we really drill down and find companies' weaknesses. So there's 7 positions there that you have to play, and if you're weak in any of those positions, we expose that, and it gives you some direction as to what you need to work on to really succeed. And that also provides a nice window to the investor community. They can see, what, this guy knows how to address a problem and pivot and fix things. We want to invest in this guy.
Nice. Okay. Sounds like, Tara, did you get your audio back?
I did. Are we done with Q&A?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you guys for working with me. A little sad I missed the last few questions, but that's the benefit of the replays. So Rod, if you just wanted to revisit the famous 1MC question, what can the 1MC community do for you? That would be amazing.
Well, I would, I hope that we have value there. And I feel like we do have great value there for the startups. And we hope you'll just go to 7xusa.com, register. If you don't have a company that you're working on, then register as a virtual VC and play the game. And spread the word. If you've got connections at accelerators or incubators or universities that you can pass my direction, I would love that. We certainly want to engage those communities.
All right, got it. I'm gonna put it on my list to go to your website later today. Thank you. Thank you for an amazing presentation, Rob. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And if anyone else on the call, David or Leanne, of course, our organizers want to apply to present, go ahead. And pretty much the same thing that Rod just got the opportunity to do, you can do with your company. We just ask that you are trying something new, you're willing to ask for help, and you want to learn. So it's 1millioncups.com/Seattle. And then again, if you are looking for ways to get involved and volunteer some of your time, we at 1 Million Cups Seattle are always open to that. So just email us, seattle@1millioncups.com, to express interest. And next week, we get to hear from Yolanda Barton with Revere, which is a virtual reality in the sense of history and music and preserving Black history specifically. She just finished an accelerator where Matthew Hageman and I got to coach her, and she was one of the winners from that accelerator. So super excited to have her here to present her business with us next week. So if you could come and then also bring a friend, that would be amazing. And then again, our 1MC Linktree link that has all of our links that you'll need for 1MC Seattle. And again, our second Wednesday of the month is in person and virtually at Expansive in Pioneer Square. So since it's a short group, I will leave it open. Do we want to do breakout rooms, or do we want to just stay in the main room and let everyone get a chance to introduce themselves?
I do have the option of breaking it into 2 different breakout rooms if you'd like, Tara. Just
okay.
I vote for main rooms, or like the main room. Yeah. It'd be nice to hear what everybody is working on and get some updates on some things.
That's what I was thinking, Matthew. And David, I got to talk to him a little bit in the beginning, but I'm curious, I want to learn more. And then I'm being selfish, I haven't got to talk to Leanne either. But if you guys are open to main room, we can kind of just all get to connect together since it's a small group of us.
Yeah, small group today. Yeah, that sounds good.